You're watching Morning at NTV.
Good morning. Welcome to Morning at NTV. My name is Malaki Vilodera. Now, of course, on Kickstarter, we take stock on current affairs, stories that you have reacted the most to. And we can't turn a blind eye to the big story, actually the tweet and the hashtag that is trending currently in the country, and that's the return of the Honorable Robert Chagulanyi Chadondo East Member of Parliament, and so that will form our discussion this morning. And of course, we have Andrew Chamagero, who is, of course, on Entebbe Road. Maybe we can link to him and just get to see what exactly is happening on ground before I, of course, get back to studio and tell you who we have in studios. Good morning, Andrew. Okay, we'll get to Andrew so he can give us, of course, a view and just what exactly is happening for us to get to know, in case you're planning on using that route, what you should be expecting. Now, in studios, I'm joined by Mr. Chifampa Siraje Nsambu, a political analyst. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you so much for hosting me.
I'm also joined by Dr. Kakungulu Mayambala, political analyst as well. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you.
We have seen this wave, this conversation. Of course, it started last week when we got hints and bits on Bobi Wine's return. And today he's set to touch down in the country. Of course, yesterday we saw the police reacting to it. Maybe we can take a look at what the police said and then we get back to our discussion. Let's take a look.
On arrival, the Honorable MP will be received at Entebbe International Airport by his immediate family. He will be availed security from the airport to his home. Police will further ensure law and order for all road users. There shall be no unlawful rallies, processions, and assemblies. Any activity that entails a public gathering must be in conformity with the provisions of the Public Order Management Act. The Honorable MP is expected to comply with the traffic laws and regulations. In conclusion, the police shall work with the sister security agencies to ensure that there is law and order and total peace.
So the police has said no processions will be allowed today. Of course, we know that his supporters, different people, wanted to go and receive him at the airport. Your take on this, Mr. Chifampa?
First of all, before we even look at that, what took Bobi Wine to America? He had gone for specialized treatment. That means that he had been tortured or he had health problems which had been caused by the government or the soldiers that tortured him. The manner in which Bobi Wine was flown to America left a lot of anxiety amongst Ugandans. So coming back when he's healthy and okay, of course, very many Ugandans would like to go to the airport to wait for him along the way, Entebbe Road, when he's coming back home, to welcome him. I don't see any problem with that. The only thing why police is coming out to behave like that is that there is a lot of panic within the government and the police, because they see the fame that Bobi Wine has gotten over the months and a year or two, the attention that he has attracted from the international community. These things have driven the government into panic. That's why they will try everything they can to curtail him from having that kind of a big welcome from the people.
Mr. Kakungulu Mayambala, of course, we've been seeing quite a huge reaction on the part of government through the security agencies and the police at that. Would you say that they are engaging in a self-defeating strategy and that by them reacting this way, they're actually propelling the brand of Bobi Wine?
Yeah, in this kind of situation, there are 2 or 3 things which the government could do. They could decide to allow Honorable Bobi Wine to have a procession from the airport to his home. That one might inconvenience the other road users on the road, because we have the express highway, but there are other people might want to use the road. And In the past, such processions can actually go on for as many as 3 or 4 hours if they are allowed because of the long distance on the road. The other they could do is to just rush him home to his constituents or give him minimum accompaniment. So whichever way they do it, it will depend on their capacity to deploy and the likely outcome of this kind of situation. But in the past, they've closed the road for other very, very important personalities, like visiting heads of state. So it will not be a new thing even if they decided to close the road. So what they've decided in this case is that they want the Honorable MP to go to his home. In any case, the airport is not in the constituency of Honorable Bobi Wine. The airport is in another constituency. So if it was his constituency, I think there the police would be unreasonable in restricting him in his own constituency. So my view is that once he gets to his constituency, then if he thinks that there is need to address the voters, his voters, because as of now, Honorable Bobi Wine is not a presidential candidate, is not a national leader, is an area MP. So if he's able to be allowed to consult in his constituents, I think it would be good enough.
Of course, we have pictures on our screen, heavy police deployment, especially along the Kampala-Entebbe highway. You can see it yourselves on the screens. But before we get into that, of course, yesterday we saw his lawyers responding to this. Mr. Osman Basalirwa, his lawyer, and of course, other members of parliament as well reacted to this. All of them were saying that it's totally unfair for him to be denied his group to actually a procession for a procession to actually receive him and welcome him back to the country. But let's take a look at what exactly members of parliament and his lawyer had to say. Okay, we'll be getting that bite in a few seconds. Yes, Mr. Chifampa.
I just wanted to disagree with my doctor. First of all, we've seen in the past, several people have been welcomed with processions that have taken hours. Even back then, we did not have an alternative like the express highway. I'll just give an example. Haji Sebagala, when he was coming from America, he was neither a mayor or an MP or a national leader of whatever category. But we saw something like 5 hours and the police was okay with it for him to come to Kampala. Gaetano, while he was coming from South Africa for the Big Brother, we saw how people turned up at the roadside, by the roadsides of Entebbe Road. So today I think a reasonable police would do this. One, how do we make use of the Entebbe Express Highway? Either for Honorable Bobi Wine or for the normal road users who are going to Entebbe and coming back from there. The other thing is that the Entebbe Road, what police could do is not to ban processions, is not to stop his supporters from welcoming him, but rather to guide him to his home area.
To guide him to his home area. And I do have Andrew Chamagero now with me. Andrew Chamagero, good morning.
Good morning, Marla.
Kindly paint a picture for us. What exactly are you seeing on ground in terms of deployment of security officials?
Yeah. Well, I'm coming to you live from Zana. What is actually on the scene is a lot of deployment from the UPDF and the soldiers. As you can see, we have a lot of security agencies deployed. The UPDF is here. I've seen the anti-terrorism unit. I've seen police officers. And there are cars that are actually military cars that are actually making rounds again and again. The border cyclists around the area, the ones I've interacted with, they're all anticipating. They can't wait for noon today. The question is, they're worried because some of the double cabins we have actually seen here, they have some steps in them. So they're like, well, we would love to welcome Bobi Wine back. But again, the case of deployment has actually brought a little bit of fear among them. But others are saying that come what may, they're still going to be on the road. but this will be against the Public Order Management Act, which police says that anyone to have any procession or any meeting, they must first be approved by police, and then they can actually proceed with that. So what is here is a lot of deployment, and it's not only in Tebe Road here where we are in Zana, but even on our way coming to Zana, we found a lot of many more security agencies like UPDF, of course, and plain clothed security operatives. You could actually see them. They're giving directives on how cars need to move. They're tough in a way, but it's all calm. The situation is still calm. Residents are still anticipating, and others have actually just chosen just to wait to open their shops because they're not sure what is actually coming through. So the whole thing is around the different roundabouts in Kampala. We have security personnel, UPDF, anti-terrorism unit. Of course, you have the Uganda police. All they're saying, they won't allow chaos to actually come in place because Bobi Wine is coming back. There was a suggestion that possibly he could use the Entebbe Express Highway. They could just use that and connect forward up to wherever he's actually going. But Bobi Wine, in his communication on his social media, insisted that he's going to use this road because it's on this road where his mother stays in Najanankombi, a few meters away from where we are. So he says he needs to come, check on his mother, then go to Kamocha for lunch. So I don't think if he passes by the Southern bypass, he will actually reach in Kamocha because it's on the other side, and you know Kamocha is on the other side. So security is well placed, I should say. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. As you can see, these are some of them we actually have, but the Ugandans actually are calm. But the youth, there is that excitement. I can't explain what it is, but the border guys are really geared up for today. Thank you so much, Andrew Chamagero. Of course, you will be briefing us in case there are any changes on ground. But back in studios, and I'd like us to touch base with what exactly Bobi Wine had to say before he left the US yesterday. And I think we have that, but let's play it for you before we come in studios, because he has addressed the security agencies and what exactly they've been doing in terms of his strategy and their strategy and this particular political heat and atmosphere that we're experiencing right now. Let's take a look. Of course, yesterday we saw Bobi Wine say that, and of course this is still allegations, he said that most of the times whenever he has his crowd, the police actually plants and brings in chaotic youth to disrupt his rallies and then pose it as if it's his people who have erupted and actually caused chaos. Your take on this, Mr. Kakungulu Mayambe?
Well, that's difficult to tell because this will be a procession where there are many people. But according to the Public Order Management Act, if Honorable Bobi Wine wants to do a procession, if assuming it was authorized by the police, then those people who are leading the procession, it is their responsibility to sort out those wrong elements within their procession, because they're the ones who are leading the procession or organizing. These are said to be their supporters. But also, in this case, you see that if the police has given orders and then they are not followed, then that might lead into a confrontation. Of course, Honorable Bobi Wine is an opposition member of parliament. He's opposition leaning, although he's an independent member of parliament. So in this case, the police is, of course, as we are all aware, doing more of regime policing. So they are not going to be very magnanimous to him. So he has to see how to survive within this kind of situation. But we hope that there will not be confrontation between the police and his supporters, especially if they all come to an agreement on the route to take. Otherwise, if they disagree, then there is likely to be confrontation.
Mr. Chifampa.
One, the issue of the allegation that police is going to, or security agencies are going to plant youth who are going to disrupt and cause chaos so that they can justify their use of force onto the supporters We cannot dismiss that, because if we can see a police that can plant ammunitions in the hotel room of Bobi Wine and many other things, you cannot deny this. We cannot rubbish it and say that is not possible. Secondly, the issue of doctor is saying that if police has given orders and the honorable member does not comply with the orders of the police. No, police is not supposed even to give orders whatsoever. Even the public order management bill does not say that before you converge, police should give you permission. But rather, we are supposed to inform the police so that to provide security. Not police giving permission to someone who is going to have a public gathering or whatever. So, I feel that Bobi Wine has got every right. The other thing is that government has tried all it can to portray Bobi Wine and his youth following as being chaotic.
You think so?
I believe so. If they have plans of planting wrong people and scrupulous people to take advantage of the situation, then I wouldn't refute that, because government has already said that these goons, these terrorists, these whatever, are disrupting business, are beating people, are raping women, so many things that have been, a lot of mud has been thrown to them.
Okay, we actually saw yesterday the police saying that no one from his family or his supporters has approached the police to actually request for such processions to take place, and they were saying that this is against the Public Order Management Act of 2013. But we also saw his lawyers react to this together with the members of parliament. Maybe we can take a look at that first. Okay, we'll be getting that bite later on. Let's get to what on the part of government, and most of the government officials actually saying Bobi Wine is not presenting any new ideologies, any new policies that he will provide that the president has not provided. In your take as a political analyst, Mr. Kakungulu Mayambala, why are we having this phenomenon? Most critics actually say that this wave of Bobi Wine will soon fade away. What's your take?
Well, I think my take on that is that really in this kind of context, we've had President Museveni and the NRM now 32 years. We've had Dr. Kawanga Semogerere, he has had a following. Dr. Kiza Besigye for the last 20 years. Honorable Mama Mbabas came on the scene in 2015, 2016. And of course, in this kind of situation now, when you look at the 32 years of rule, Honorable Bobi Wine in 35 years, so he has come on the scene and is trying to overshadow Dr. Kiza Besigye, because the youth look at him, his background, his music, and the age, the demography. So he has that following. He's being liked by the youth. But as of now, apart from the fact that he has recently become an MP, and of course we have the social media and all these things, it's difficult to tell what exactly his political weight could be. But what is certain and clear is that he's offering an alternative leadership as opposed to the mainstream opposition we have had. So as to how long this will stay, I'm sure it's going to stay there, because the youth are the majority. And of course, you know, in politics, the message you give is not really what is important. What is important is that you get the support. So you can even go, even if you just sing to the voters, as long as they like you, or if you give radical messages like Dr. Besigye has been doing, or even President Museveni has used all these. He has sung, he has given money, he has done all this, whatever, depending on the kind of people, the voters before him. So to me, I think Bobi Wine is a good idea to come on the scene, because then it helps to deflect from Dr. Kizza Besigye, and then the government knows that this opposition is really genuine, and therefore address the issues or the demands of the population.
Mr. Chifampa.
First of all, I would like to tell Ugandans that Bobi Wine hasn't said that this is a political party or whatever. Because political parties always come with manifestos, agendas, and programs. So for him, when you listen to him critically, he says that we want a free Uganda, where Ugandans are the bosses of the leaders, and leaders should be servants to the people, to their people.
Correct.
So you do not expect him to come up with alternative views that for corruption, government should do this and this and this and this. For him, all he says that this should change. To what? It is the Ugandans that have the powers to what they want their country to be. You understand? So the other thing, the sustainability of the wave. I'm telling you, Doctor, what I know is that apparently Ugandans are yearning for change. So whoever comes out to oppose the status quo, Ugandans will follow him, no matter what. So Bobi Wine might be a symbol just for a change, but actually, even if Bobi Wine is wiped out, more Ugandans will still come up agitating for change. We've seen this in the 2016 elections, where Ugandans even got out of the little they had to contribute to the campaign of Dr. Besigye. Wherever you could go, you could see people coming with 1,000, 2,000 shillings to give him money.
So what you're saying is, even if Bobi Wine's wave fades away, whoever comes in opposition of the government will gain support.
32 years or 35 years is too long a period for one to be in power, and do not expect people to yearn for change.
The big conversation that most of the groups now, especially them that are concerned for the peace of the country, of course with the religious council heading this, what they're saying, what they're pushing for is reconciliation. In your view, is the fruit of reconciliation ripe enough at this point in time to be eaten by both parties? Mr. Kakungulu.
No, that one is an outright no for 3 reasons. One, as of now, all the parties, the one of the NRM and those who are yearning for change, they've reached a point of no return. They've taken different paths. The NRM is not ready to cede ground. The president has already told us that the presidency is not negotiated. And the opposition also, they think that the current leadership has done so much wrongs to them, and all they want is to take over the leadership of the country. 2, there is a lot of suspicion within the reconciliation. What are we reconciling about? Because as long as the NRM remains in power, it will continue using the same methods to sustain its leadership. So the issue of reconciliation becomes very difficult. And lastly, both parties are keen on taking over leadership. So really, maybe what's important, lastly on that, is if the 2 parties can negotiate on how to coexist. For me, that's what is important. How, like now, Bobi Wine is coming into the country. How can he be treated fairly as opposed to unfairly, as was the case in Arua? And then the NRM also being just magnanimous and courteous. To me, I think that's what is going to happen.
I got an opportunity of attending the Leaders Forum, Elders Forum, and the Interreligious Council meeting or workshop that was held at Popo. But I looked at this, that is not practical, it's not possible right from the start.
Why not?
Why not is that what opposition members are saying, government cannot accept to it. That the only negotiation table they can sit onto is planning President Museveni's exit. And you heard what President Museveni said the other day when he was addressing the nation, that the presidency cannot be negotiated, but rather competed for. For the opposition are saying that they do not have, the ground is not leveled for them to compete favorably, so that they oust him from power.
So what's next for Uganda?
So, one thing I need to say that we need to continue agitating for a free and fair country where people can compete favorably and fairly, and power can be transferred. I just want to have one question to fellow Ugandans. When I look at the images that are coming out, the soldiers are on the street, the military is on the street, and many other security agencies on the street. At what point do we need those soldiers to be on the street?
Okay.
Should we always have soldiers all over the street? Are we going to have a military city where we have so many soldiers on the street? Or we are going to have a city that is full of Ugandans?
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Kakungulu Mayambala, what next for the political space? In a short, in 1 second.
I think in this, what I see is that we need intervention on the side of the government to know that political parties or political opposition will always be there. And therefore, my view is the issue of coexisting. We need to coexist, the NRM with the opposition.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time. Thank you so much for shedding light. Of course, we will be going live, of course, when we can. And Chamagero is on ground just to let you know what is happening on the ground. And of course, Morning at 10 TV still continues. We're taking a short commercial break, but after this break, Andrew Chamagero will be telling us more. Stay tuned.